News Service. We are live from the Pagan Faith Room at the Parliament of World's Religions, and I'm here with Ed the Pagan. Hi, Ed. How are you doing?
Good. This has been an exceptional experience. I couldn't be happier.
Excellent. So, Ed, tell us, what have you been experiencing so far at Parliament?
Um, Accomplishment, success, pride. Been deeply almost moved to tears and nostalgia. I mean, I've done all of the parliaments of modern age. I've been, gone from assistant stage manager to now having seen the new tradition leader of our tradition, the newest leader, the youngest we've ever had in the modern age.
Hmm.
Well, second to the youngest,
And
but
what's
we'll
his name?
and that is M. Reverend Phoenix Coffin Williams.
And I understand that we have another first priestess as well.
And she's not with us here, but that is, Alyssa Munn. Not Alyssa Munn. Oh my God, sorry about that. Um, Alyssa, Lady Alyssa. I'm not even going to try pronouncing all those names. Um, and Right Reverend, she's been serving as the elder for a while. Don't worry about it. No, you never worry about that.
Right.
I mean, it's in play. We always do that.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't
Yeah.
care. We're in their space. Um, but we're here at the Parliament. So, I mean, how could I say? I've worked 32 years with the Parliament, and I finally got to one of the greatest accomplishments I can have, and that is to see the Corellian tradition represented on the main stage of the procession.
How did that feel?
Oh, I just stood there. What can you say when everything that you work for is this kind of idea of prophecy, this idea of working towards something, something that you believed in, even when nobody else really believed in it? Uh, how can that feel? Well, it's overwhelming. It's awe. It's wonder. It's and you have to process it and process it with great wonder, and it makes me really happy. But it's hard to describe it. I mean, you can't. Hmm?
So, what are some of the accomplishments other than being up on the stage?
Well, we're actually probably one of the largest news services here, and we're very well respected as you're on. Our reporters, we got 15 reporters kind of through the fence there, and everybody paid for their own ticket. Everybody here as the press corps, every Corellian here. Let me make it very clear: every Corellian here paid their own way, and they're volunteering their own time, and they're paying for their own hotel, and they're paying for everything that is there. So our news service, the fact that we've all come together and do this, and some of them be doing volunteering and have the experience, how can I feel? Again, it's an overwhelming joy. It's an overwhelming pride. I mean, how can I feel? But overwhelmed and joyful, and it's really hard to endure, but I'm very proud of them. I am very proud of this. I'm very proud of this. I'm proud of everybody who's participated. I'm proud that we have this great new focus. So it's very interesting. Well, I'm coming to accomplish my final goals here. And really, what was my goal? Well, some people know the story, some don't.
Well, please tell that to us now, for those of you in the audience that do not know what
Okay.
originally happened.
So in 1993, I was a copy boy for like 2 years. I mean, envelope stuffer, just a young man, 28, 29, and I'd be 30 by the time the Parliament hit. I was just I hung out. It was something that I did. It was something that was a lot of fun, and I was learning about it. And I was bringing it back to the community. We're gonna have this big event. They didn't believe me. Um, it was one of those Cassandra effects. But I was working there. I got to be assistant stage manager. 30 years old, assistant stage manager. A lot of fun, and I got to meet all the best leadership. So we owe a lot of greats to a lot of Deborah Light. What's happened next is that Deborah Light, Selena Fox, Phyllis Carrot. There are others, but they had to have a series of emergency meetings because their permit for doing a full moon ritual, right, was trying to be revoked. And they worked so hard, and I was there, there, we were talking about it. I ran messages across the board because that's one of the things I was doing. Young men, I did anything I could do. I mean, I was a messenger boy. I was the assistant manager. I was running notes across the board. Go for, but mostly I made sure that people got on and off the assistant stage, so I learned about it. But they were working on these powerful women had to work on it, and they eventually got Cardinal Bernardine. I love Cardinal Bernardine. He's one of the better gentlemen and that have served. I mean, and he's very backing of the Parliament. Until he passed, but he got him the permit. Called the mayor directly. Says, "Give them their permit." and the mayor gave us our permit. And it was a big ritual. It was a couple hundred people. I think this one's going to be hopefully bigger. Now 30 years forward, we're having new rituals that completely condone. There's going to be all sorts of protection. We're not even going to play the game, same game. That's what we've earned. So we get to the next step. So here we come near the end of it, and this permit fight is going on. And I talked to a very respected trustee. Well, first, earlier the day, they were taking pictures of the leadership of the parliament. Olivia for the Fellowship of Isis, Lady Olivia, who was one of the 8 speakers at the parliament. And I was watching that. She knew who I was, kind of, and I was working. And the last minute, she says, "Oh, you sit here. Hmm? Somewhere in the archives of ISIS and Circle, there's a picture of all of us." And I'm sitting there, and we go, "Who's that young man?" I'm 30 years old. We go, "Oh, he must be the national youth leader." Instantaneous change, right?
Right.
Because it's hard to understand, but that was more equivalency. I couldn't just be anybody in the picture. I couldn't be, oh, the assistant stagehand. And at that moment, my life changed. It transformed everything I was. Like, okay, I'm here at the Globe, and now she said, oh, you're going to be something else. Hmm? And then Dirk Feige was the one who just stamped this into my heart. He was very good about this. He was very respectful. But he was kind of upset with the pagans and saying, about the fight. They wanted us to drop it because it was a feeling of privilege, that we were looking for a privilege, not a right. And I go, what do you mean? He said, well, he goes like this is that you really aren't here. I mean, and he told me something that was very vitally important. This is why witch school is important, where everything else I've ever done has been important. But, this trustee, this executive said, the place that you become respected within the UN census is 100,000 relatable people. Before that, he went, the last survey said we're 135,000. So no, 135 is possible. How many in your group? And it was that, how many could you put on a signature? Since then, we've gone on to sign lots of government contracts, agreements. This was, that sort of thing, because we used the internet to answer this call. And that came out of the 1999 Parliament. Witch School was born out of the 1999 Parliament. In the 93 Parliament to serve this issue. This thing right here, this project, Pagan World News, all of it, is proof we have a right to a voice. That's what was always more important, that we have a right to our voice as a community, and that no one was going to give us our voice. Every step of the way, I've had to take it. And we took it here, meaning that we can't expect people to give it to us. The only way to have a right is you've got to practice it. And so my going with the parliament, what I've done for the last 8 parliaments, is that my fight for freedom is to make pagans always have a voice. All the projects you've ever seen, I don't do it. We're calling Corellian News Service because that's who's paying for it. That's who's doing it. It's the volunteers, and it want to know our bias. But we've always been open to everybody. So there you go. I mean, that's what we hear, and the parliament started it for me.
Thank you very much. So other than that, with the Corellian News Service and you have Pagan World TV.
That's right.
You have the Great Crystal Web, which is all over the world.
That's right.
Including Antarctica. Yeah. Two stones in Antarctica.
Yeah, I'm very proud of that.
Yeah. We have Witch School.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're also going on to another project, other projects as well.
So, yeah. So people are probably hearing this for the first time. So I have stepped back from a lot of my duties. I mean, I've been since March, since Don had his event. An event. We have done so. Can we let her by? Hi, Vicky.
Hi.
And so one of the things they've done, so M. Reverend Phoenix has moved forward, M. Reverend Alyssa, there's going to be record keepers. So basically, I'm done as an administrator. I can't do it better than the people I've chosen. Always choose people smarter than you and more capable, and you'll have something that will last. Don't feed your ego, feed your skill set. And administration is not my best skill set. I've done it, but my skill set is structure. And so now we want to go to Don, and other people need to have a really community to do so. And so we're moving to Carolina City project, which is to build an elder care village, not so much a hospital. That's so expensive, and everybody gets into that ridiculous idea. But places where 60, 70, 80-year-old people who are mobile, who have most of their medicines, who can bring in a nurse, who can bring in a doctor, can live in that community and the community can support them.
So basically, ones who can still do for themselves.
Yeah.
We're talking about like not an assisted living, but a place where they have a home and huh elder care. Exactly.
Don Lewis is at the center of this. I mean, he's the first one I'm providing it to. That's what we're doing. I mean, but it's silly to build it just for one person.
Yes.
And probably when I settle down, because everybody knows this is like the end of this journey. I'm about to try to go around the world, as everybody knows. It's like my next big goal. But I think in a lot of ways it'll be for me. I think it'll
Hmm.
be others. And so if you're going to do that, so in the center you have this elder care, but you have to attract a community that's worthwhile. And so we're building ancestor houses, our first project, and that is where we're going to put the ancestors, and the kind of adoption of more ancestors. I mean, it's not going to be just it's going to be Corellian ancestors, but I don't think it's just going to be the family anymore. I think we're going to see a lot more of the ancestors come in, our family ancestors. We're going to see much more of that. This parliament's going to deepen that effect. I mean, so we're going to be much more of an ancestral group. That's all Don wants to do. I mean, so in a lot of ways, I'm shutting down we're shutting down to the world, especially Don, in the sense of being in charge. Lots of good faces, lots of good hands. I mean, come on, I can't ask for a better system than it is. Like we've got it all, right? And so, for me to stay in that system is what would make me a toxic elder. It just would absolutely. Let's when you've trained them and you've worked with them 30 years now, you've given them the goals, they're doing it well. Me trying to hold on is toxic leadership. And so I want to go into this idea of crowd eldership and how do I want to finance? Everybody goes, "How are you going to finance?" Well, most people don't know it. I am a master thrifter. I I do it all the time. I just did it before. I sell stuff all the time. And so one of the nice things about a 501c3 and everything else, um, don't. So yeah, so that's sort of the idea of it. We're going to flip through the internet. So e-commerce platforms, everything else. People in Chicago, 8 million people donating our stuff, and so donating stuff to us and providing clothing for the community as well as selling it on the internet. This is a great way. It'll allow us to earn income, create jobs, and then sell and teach skills, and that'll give us volunteers and people to actually do elder care. You've got to serve the basic and lowest person in your community, and that's the next step. I unfortunately have to get to my next thing. Hmm?
Oh, so thank you very much,
Yes,
Ed.
yeah, interfaith act. So yes, what am I taking? The architecture of interfaith support systems.
And that would work with the elder care in and of itself.
Oh, sure. I'm all about platforms. I mean, so if you got a minute or two, I'm all about platforms. Everybody's always misunderstood. Why do I get so many? Why am I given rank and title? It is never because of my ritual practices. It's never because I am a particularly good advisor. People who end up as my mentees really get whipped around because it's I'm not very good at it. I say follow me, ask me something, but they become amazing leaders. I mean, they just do. Hmm? But I build platforms. Pagan World TV is a platform for everybody. The Pagan Voices. The radio stations is a voice. The Facebook pages we've created is voices. I mean, recently you were very involved with it. We ran 100-hour telethon that allowed us to bring Rolando Apu here. And a lot of people volunteered. It was a really hard thing. And there was moments of despair. It's a beautiful story. I mean, there's moments of despair, there was moments of joy and everything else. And at the end of the day, you made your goal of over $5,000. And we were able to bring Rolando, and we're here today. And those paladins have their own house, and they're doing well. Hmm?
Yeah.
You were involved with that, and our cameraman, Eric Herbert, is that. I mean, and it was something really beautiful and wonderful. And we were able to transmit through the tools we've been creating. So that's kind of, we can do that again. But once we do it once, we can do it again. It'll be easier and not the same. But that energy, that time we did it, that energy, it was so magnificent. Hmm? And out of the parliament, we're going to see a lot of projects come out of here, and it's going to be the same energy. We're at ground floor of the next level of paganism, whatever you want to call it, the next level, not just of Corellianism, but in paganism in general. We're dominant here. Hmm? And that's it.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Thank you so much, Ed, Ed. And we were live with Ed the Pagan, and we thank him so much for taking some time out of his busy schedule to being here with us. This is Reverend Arlene Freed coming to you live from the parliament, the faith, pagan faith room in the Parliament of World Religions.
But don't worry, we'll continue to get back there.
Back to you now, Mary. Thank you so much.
Looks like it worked.